Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast, a Southland Christian Church podcast for men. We're redeeming men's conversations, talking about the right things in the right ways, and creating a culture of strong, godly men who fight for what matters most. Thanks for joining us today. Let's jump in.
All right. Well, hey, what's up, Locker Room? My name is Scott Hatfield. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast, season 16. We're in the middle of a big series called Big Words, week 3. And today's episode is called Battle. It's just simply called Battle. And my guest is a buddy of mine named Matt Robison. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. Good to see you, Scott.
Good to have you. Hey, so we'll kick it off just by digging in. So that way, you're a part of Southeast Big Church, lots of campuses. We have the same. And so give us a little snippet about you. And I'll kind of lead you a couple questions. Where'd you grow up? About your family growing up? Mm-hmm. Where you went to college? Talk about your family, your wife, how long you've been married, your kids. And then what do you do now?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Really glad to be here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, just south here of Lexington. Kind of grew up on a farm there, and like everybody, farmed part-time in my hometown growing up.
Yeah.
Mom and dad still together. Had an older sister who's passed away, a little brother who's 6 years younger than me that lives up in Columbus, Ohio.
Gotcha.
Graduated from the school formerly known as Cincinnati Bible College.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
A moment of silence.
Yeah.
Graduated from there. Been married to my high school sweetheart. We started dating in 1996, man. Got married in 2002.
Okay.
Been married since then. We have 4 kids. And my high school sweetheart was Christy.
Yeah.
Christy Robison. I call her Christy Brooke.
Okay, Christy Brooke.
Yeah,
Okay.
Christy Brooke. And
You got 4 kids?
4 kids. Isaiah's 21.
Okay.
Braylon's 20. Layla is 17. And Case is 11.
Cases 11.
Yeah. And I'm on staff at Southeast Christian Church in Louisville. Been on staff there since 2016, and I currently get to lead our recovery ministry.
That's awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Hey, you and I have a common friend. We have lots of common friends, but Bill Clark is an elder at your church.
Yeah.
He's been a friend of mine. He was the elder at the church I was a part of, and he's a great friend. But, man, it's so funny because he's a big encourager for both of us, just such a blessing. But he's like, man, I'm sure he's talked to you forever about Locker Room, and he's talked to me about you, and so it's good to have you on, man.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited for it.
So the reality is God's put a calling on your life for ministry. There's a lot of commonality in our stories, not exactly, but we both have done student ministries. We both planted a church. You in Atlanta, me in Seattle. I'm wearing my Seattle cap today.
I see that. I see that.
We're close.
Yeah.
I hope it happens. This podcast will come out afterwards, so we'll see what happens. But your story is like a lot of our stories. It has tons of twists and turns in it. And this series that we're in Big Words today is entitled Battle. And the reality is, Locker Room, listen, no matter who you lock eyes with, who you bump into today, who you're working near or around, every single person's in a battle. Every person's in a battle. And so we're going to unpack a significant battle that you've been on for a long time, and you're still battling it. And so why don't you break the seal and talk a little bit about your battle that you've been in, just briefly, and then just, what you're still battling.
Yeah, man, love that. So I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict.
Yeah.
And I say that I say that because there's not shame attached to that anymore.
Yeah.
Because of what the freedom that I've found in recovery and the healing that's taken place in my life. But I think I struggled with drug and alcohol addiction from the time I was 13 years old, the first time I got drunk, and I wasn't looking. I didn't know at that time. I just was doing what all the songs on the radio said.
Yeah.
This is what good old boys do on Friday nights. You know what I mean? And so, I got halfway through that second warm beer, and this feeling hit me, and I thought I found the secret to life. It was the first time in my life that I think I actually remember feeling okay.
Wow.
And that started like a core belief for me that like I could not be okay unless I put something in me, and that transcended and followed me along, all the way through. Even after becoming a follower of Jesus, I was in Los Angeles on a mission trip summer before my senior years when I think I really found like what first time I really engaged or heard the gospel like it was, and then felt called to ministry kind of in the same breath. It was like I want in on that, and I want in on other people getting to meet that.
Yeah.
But even in that relationship, there was still like I couldn't be okay. It was almost like I was signing up trying to earn God's approval, or like I'm going to do this and do this and do this, and if I can accomplish all these things, then I'll feel worthy enough, or then I'll feel okay. And so it was an off and on again struggle from the time I was 13 years old.
So how many years has that been?
I'm 45 now, and I think early on, my substance use was pretty much like a lot of experimenting teenagers, half rebellion, half like, it's what everybody's doing, the cool stuff, just doing the things, whatever's around, not really consuming or controlling a whole lot of my life at that time. I think around 17 years old is the first time I discovered pain pills. And that's kind of when things went to a whole nother level for me, because it was like, with alcohol, which it had primarily been up to that point, I smoked a little weed. Yeah. I just didn't like it. It made me sleepy, and I just wasn't my kind of buzz. Yeah. And it always been alcohol, but alcohol was hard to conceal. Yeah, Well, I found pain pills when I was 17 years old, and I was like, man, this is like a beer buzz. It'll last 6 hours, and nobody could smell it. You know. And so that was a real dark, hard part of my addiction. And through all of that, the biggest point of shame in my life, Scott, was that how can I be a pastor and talk about the power of God and talk about the Word of God, talk about the redemption of God, and see that actively working in other people's lives. Yeah. But it was like no matter what happened, my cycle would look like this. I would have a major blow up that would be kept internally because my wife is a long-suffering saint, of a woman. It would blow up. I would swear off of it and get help on some level. I would do okay for a short time. Right. Life would start to build up on me. I would say, I'm just going to get a little bit. Yeah. A little bit would turn into a lot. Yeah. And I'd blow my life up. Cycle again. And I just did that over and over and over again.
I was looking, and you may have even better stats, but most recent stats I could find, 2023. 29 to 30 million adults in the U.S. struggle with AUD, which is alcohol use disorder. Yeah. 48.5 million people struggle with some sort of substance abuse disorder. It's an epidemic. I mean, it's impacted. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter whether you've got lots of money or no money. It's impacting families, marriages, and people. The carnage is everywhere. And addiction, locker room addiction, comes in all shapes and forms. And just to simply say this about addiction is anything that keeps a firm grip on us, that keeps us from the freedom that God wants us to have. And the Bible speaks in different language at times, and sometimes the word that the Bible uses is strongholds. And so go back real quickly just to your beginnings. Just a few questions to kind of learn, like the origins of how all this happened. Yeah. Did you grow up where alcohol was prevalent in your family? Did anybody else battle alcoholism? Yeah. You said your first experience was 13, first time you got drunk, and then you talked a little bit about what that experience did, but just kind of how did kind of tease some of that out for us. Yeah. I grew up in a home where there was alcohol in the home. Yeah. And so it was... Everybody drank, your mom and dad?
No, just my dad, mainly my dad. But it was always accessible, and it was almost like the culture growing up was like, it wasn't bad. Like nobody... It wasn't a big deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was. I grew up in the egg frying in the pan. You know what I mean? That was the two. You didn't get your girlfriend pregnant, and don't do drugs. Those are the things you don't do. Alcohol's fine, but act like you got some sense. You know what I mean? It was kind of the overall like mindset of it. You know what I mean? It was kind of boys will be boys. Yeah. It was like this. Like I said, the first time I wasn't looking for an out. Yeah. I was just doing what all the songs on the radio said. That's what we do on Fridays.
Did your dad give you alcohol when you were a kid?
No, he didn't know. I stole it from him. Yeah. I stole it and hid it in my toy box, which I didn't realize how ironic it was that I was hiding beer in my toy box till I said that after I got sober, and people were like, bro, you hid beer in your toy box? And I was like, it made perfect sense at the time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right next to the G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
So it continues as a teenager. And here's the thing that I think is important for us as we dig into addiction. When there's addiction, there's always something beneath it. And I think sometimes if you've not struggled with alcohol or drug addiction, you always just think it's that. And the reality is there's always something deeper. There's a deeper struggle, some deep insecurity or whatever it is. But what do you think was underneath your struggle with alcohol? Was it deep insecurity? Was it shame? Was it anger? Was there depression? Did you have almost a performance mentality or approval? Did you battle anxiety? What were some of the things that were underneath some of those addictions?
Yeah, I love that thought on it. And I love what you set up the definition of anxiety, of addiction, right? It's like anything that you continue to do that's causing you negative consequences. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things in life that we catch negative consequences for, and we change that behavior pretty quickly.
And locker room, let me just make sure that everybody understands this. This is not just about alcohol.
Yeah, not at all.
So if you don't struggle with this, you might go, this is not relevant for me. Well,
Yeah, if you got
hang
stuff
around.
showing up in your life that's causing negative consequences repeatedly, and you find yourself still being compulsively drawn back to it, or like longing for it, or missing it.
Battle every time.
Like it
you
is.
long
Like,
for it.
and it really is points to what you're saying. Like it's an underneath condition. Like the stuff we see with the behaviors is the stuff that's on the front of the curtain, but the real work, the real thing that's going on with addiction or anything is what's going on behind the curtain.
So for you, what were some of the things that you, as you look back now, probably harder to see then, but maybe some of it was noticeable. You went, this makes me feel better. I feel more socially, confident. I don't know. What were some of those things that was underneath?
Like I said, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing to compare my life to other than what was normal. And then when I got that buzz the first time, it was like, I feel okay.
Yeah.
I just feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel at ease. And I didn't realize then how much I never felt at ease. Like I never felt okay with myself. I never felt good enough. I always felt like I was less than, always comparing, feeling like I was on guard, trying to make sure people couldn't see the real me or see what was really going on. Or because there was so much in me that I felt like was inherently bad, or I would say inherently not good enough, that if you saw that, like it was going to be the worst case scenario. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So but when I put the substance in me, which is what worked for me, when I'm experiencing that, it's like there's a sense of ease and comfort. There's a relief. I'm free of that. Like I feel okay. So what I've worked unpacked in my healing journey, and that's what I love to make sure I frame recovery as healing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not abstinence, because I'm around a lot of people that remove the substance, but you don't work on the stuff that's behind the curtain.
Or they replace it.
And it is. And it was funny. I was with some of my friends and I was home for Christmas, with my family, and they were like, I'm sober now. And I said, I bet your family's really glad that you're sober for the holidays. And I'm like, well, yeah. And no, because there were some times that, when I was dry or I wasn't using anything, that they probably wish I would, just so I would shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
More so mean.
Irritable, discontent, frustrated. Everything's about me, like never okay. You know what I mean? It's like, I wish he'd take a drink just so he'd be quiet. You know what I mean? So like it does. I love thinking about recovery like healing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That it's a journey, and healing is not a straight line. It's not linear. Like we take some steps forward, and then there's some setbacks, and what worked for this part of the program, for what worked at this part of my life, all of a sudden doesn't work, and you got to change it up a little bit to kind of continue down this path. And what I learned was I had a deep fear of being abandoned. A deep fear of being abandoned. And so I put on top of that this performance. Yeah. Because if I perform in a certain way, I don't have to worry about you leaving.
Yeah. And why do you think the abandonment was there?
I don't. My mom and there's definitely trauma stuff from my childhood, different things from growing up.
Your parents are still married, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. And but there was just this always like, I'm not good enough. If they find that out, they're going to leave me. Yeah. And so because of that, it put me in this state. And that's why when I mentioned the pieces of my cycle, the like life would build up on me section of my life, it was because like I needed to do more. You know what I mean? If you were going to come in at 5, I needed to come in at 4:30. If you were going to do 25 push-ups, I had to do more. I wanted to be the guy that showed up and cut off jeans and Chuck Taylors and could run everybody on the court and play. Like I needed to be a little bit better than everybody else, because if I didn't exceed expectations and I wasn't performing,
just didn't feel enough,
man, then guess what? Then you're going to start to see who I really am. And if you see who I really am, you're going to leave.
People are going to start walking on you. So specifically, you give your life to Jesus, and you're battling this. And again, I remember my own story at 17. I accept Him as Lord and Savior, but Savior comes easy. Lordship is a little harder, and it took some time. And it's and there's still places in my life where I got to give Him freedom to go. Yeah, that's your area, man.
Yeah, have
your way. But talk about the battle as a newer believer, battling the substance or substances. How did that? Did that spin you around all over the place?
I think initially it was like the riding the wave of like, oh, I'm a Christian, everything's going to be good, and I felt like that because I gave my life to Jesus. He waved this magic wand, and all that stuff's going to be fixed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've always been drawn to the Book of Psalms. You know what I mean? And I love it because I think David could probably qualify for a bipolar diagnosis based on the ups and downs that he expresses in there. But I thought all that was going to go away. Like I'm baptized, I'm a G, and I'm not even just saying yes to Jesus. I'm saying yes to, I'm going to work for you, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, again, but that performance mindset of like, not only am I giving you my life, I'm also going to give you my vocation. I'm going to work for you. You know what I mean? Thinking that that's going to take away or balance out that. You know what I mean? If I'm doing all this, then surely it'll be okay. Well, and that works for it worked for a while.
Sure.
The new, the high, the fun. You know,
it's like getting married at first. It's like, oh, this is great.
This takes away everything. I don't have to worry about anything. All the struggles are going to go away. And those of us who've married for a while laughed and be like, all it's going to do is put a microscope on it, man. It's going to magnify those things.
Yes.
But and then I think there was a portion for me where, there was I don't have like the. Kind of, working in the church, it was like, it's funny because when you live in different areas of the country, there's things that are sin that are not sin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's not a big deal.
Well, like, I remember here, like, I lived here and we go to Keeneland. You know what I mean? We would go to the racetrack and it wasn't like, I go to a church in Ohio, had a week break. And so I go to church and they're like, hey, we thought you would come up last week and go to church. It's like, no, me and my wife, we went to Keeneland on Sunday.
Yeah.
We just had like a date and hung out for a while before we moved and jumped into another church.
Right.
The elders were like freaked all the way out. It was like, man, that's gambling. And I'm like, it's not gambling, it's a track. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't sin here.
Sure.
So like there was a piece of it, like when I moved to other places, there was some kind of like this
cultural stuff.
And this Christian liberty thing too, because like the moralistic, the pendulum that swings so much, and it was like, man, I can have a couple of beers and I'm not a sinner. You know what I mean? Yeah. And especially like this is all my choices. I don't ever put what I chose to do on anybody else. Right. But there was a culture in church planting in the early 2000s of reaching the unreachable, and I want to be able to connect with guys where they are, and so. Part about doing stuff at a bar and having a couple of beers,
watching the football game, and having beers, it makes us look culturally cool. Yeah,
and it works for a lot of people. Sure. It just don't work for me because I don't have an off button. You know what I mean? Yeah. A couple of beers of the game, and I know I'm going to have a couple. It's like, well, I'm going to have to drink a couple before I get there because I can't drink like I want in front of people. Because if I drink like I want in front of people, they're going to know I'm drinking too much. Yeah. So I'm pre-gaming, and then I'm post-gaming on the way home because she's going to be able to smell, but I drank it there. Yeah. Like, it's like, it doesn't work for me. Yeah. So it works for other people. So that was a piece of it as well. But and then it would, like I said, it would be a blow up, and I would shut it down, get help on some level, which really just, it was like all the spiritual discipline things, the fasting. And I'm not saying that there was a tone in my voice and a face. I don't mean to mock it,
those
but
are
it was
important.
Like the spiritual discipline. I did all those things, but again, it was like from this faulty performance mindset. That's why, because I would go and it would be like, if you have enough faith, this will be taken from you.
Right.
So really, I'm just a morally reprehensible human being that no matter how hard I'm trying to make myself appealing or prove before God, I'm not good enough at it.
Yeah. Christianity is not try harder. It's surrender and let the Lord lead your life.
And what's so hard for us, for me, Scott, was it's really hard to separate the voice of God from those voices that comes to the wounds inside of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they sound really similar. A lot of people that I walk with now, it's like they assume God is saying things to them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, but they say I don't believe in God. I'm like, well, tell me about the God you don't believe in, because maybe I don't believe in that God either. Yeah. Right. When they start describing these things about characteristics of God, and I'm like, man, screw him. I wouldn't believe in him either.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not who's keeping me sober today.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So
that's good. When you talk about voices, we're never far from talking about the enemy on this podcast. If you're a Christ follower, you know this. You're always in the crosshairs of Satan and demons. The Bible tells us again and again that he's coming. He's not going to stop. He's going to continue to pursue, attack, attempt, deceive, lie, accuse. He enters the scene in Genesis 3, and he's not stopped entering the scene. He's in all of our business, and it's splattered throughout the pages of Scripture. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Ephesians 6:10-11, finally be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may stand your ground against the schemes of the devil. Talk about how the enemy has worked, how he's been instrumental in this process to attack, even before you move. I mean, you've kind of been this journey of trying to find recovery, but how has he continued to either lie or deceive or help you kind of try to, no, you should manage this here, you should keep it on the down. What's that look like for you? How's the enemy been prevalent in all
I think
struggle?
the number one thing the enemy used was, which I think is pretty common for all of us humans, and it's from Genesis 3. Like, that's why I feel like the number one thing the enemy's used in my life is shame. Yeah. It's shame. And I've not dug into it theologically enough, to I think somebody could probably pick it apart and argue with me. But I would go and say right now, I don't think shame is ever from God.
Yeah.
Like a shame didn't show up until sin did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was shame causes us. What do Adam and Eve do? They hid and they covered. They put 2 layers of things between themselves and God.
Yeah.
You know, because they didn't want to be seen. They just don't want to be seen. And that's what my thing was. It was, you have to hide this. You have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It was attached to things like, I don't want to ruin for stuff for my family. You know, I don't know about, like, I've been in ministry, right, bro? I don't have a lot of marketable skills. You know what I mean? So, like, what are we going to do if they don't let us show up and talk about stuff?
I'd be awesome at Walmart. I'd be a great greeter,
that's it.
man.
That's all I got. That's all I got, you know? And so, like, there's another piece of that where it's like, gosh, if I say that I need help with this, I'm going to lose my job. You know what I mean? And you have all these reasons to quit. So it's just stop this time. I'm going to stop this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the number one thing the enemy used was this shame of, like, how are you a pastor that can't stay sober?
Yeah.
You know,
and that's heavy to carry. It's very heavy to carry.
Yeah.
Locker, you got to know this. Your enemy is not only Satan and demons. You have another enemy that is closer than you think, closer than them. And if you want to know what one of your big enemy is that stands in the way of what God wants to do in your life, if you'll just take your finger and then touch your chest. It's you. It's me. It's our flesh. And when I talk about our flesh, here's what I mean. Our flesh is our natural inclination to do what we want, to do what we want instead of maybe what God wants. We see it rooted in Adam and Eve, their disobedience. They've been warned. And God had said, hey, listen, you only got one provision, man. Don't eat from that tree, the fruit from that tree. And it manifests itself in our selfish desires, our inclination to chase evil things, the inability to perfectly follow God's will, creating an internal struggle between what God wants and what's right, and what we want. And it requires spiritual rebirth through Christ and spiritual healing and transformation. When the Bible talks about our flesh, it means our old life, our sinful nature, the way that we used to live before we started following Jesus, the tendencies in us that drive us away from what God wants, and it causes us to rebel, act up, buck authority, pride up, be selfish, make life about us instead of what we should be about, which is honoring Jesus, our spouse, our family, trusting God's best for our lives. So a couple verses around our flesh. James 1:13-15 says, and this is so important because I think we always just think it's Satan, and the reality is I bet there's a lot of times where Satan's not even involved.
And Satan's not omnipotent.
He's not.
He's not everywhere all the time. So the flat tire, you know, the chances he was in your driveway going, I'm gonna get Buddy today. I'm gonna get a nail. You know what I mean? It's pretty slim.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, my buddy Leon has a Post-it note that he puts on the mirror, and he tells us this. He has a Post-it note on his mirror that says, "You're looking at the biggest problem you're gonna face all day."
That's good. So this verse, James, half brother Jesus, verse 13-15 says, when tempted, no one should say, God has tempted me. He doesn't do that. For God cannot be tempted, nor does he tempt anyone. Here it is. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desires and enticed. And then after desire is conceived, here's what happens. Once we go from a thought to an action, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it's full grown, when we live in this habitual lifestyle, it gives birth to death. It kills things around it. And so Paul also drives this home in Galatians 6, 7, 8. These are things that I think, if you have any kind of godly fear, this is one of them, Galatians 6, 7, and 8. Don't be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. He says, whoever sows to please the flesh, which you want to keep chasing the flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, which means you're doing the right things, you're trying to honor him, obedience, trust. Here's what it says, from the flesh will reap eternal life. Paul gets really honest about his own civil war that he's experiencing in his own life. And again, he's in ministry. God's changed his life. But here's what he drops this. It's so important for us to see it. Romans 7, 15-17. It says, for I do not understand my own actions, for what I do not want to do, but I do the very thing I hate. I do not do the thing I want to do, but the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I don't want, I agree with the law that it's not good, that it's good. So now there's no longer me that does it, but the sin that dwells within me. It's this battle of discipleship. Just like you think, hey, I came to Jesus, all of it's going to go away, just up and to the right. And the reality is, no. Salvation saves us, and Jesus saves us, but discipleship is this journey of walking beside him. Sanctification is the journey of finding healing and becoming more and more like Jesus, striving to put him first and to be led by the Spirit. And then I'll give you this last one, and then we'll keep moving. But Galatians 5, 16-18. This is the battle that every man finds himself in. Paul says this, so I say, walk by the Spirit. And if we do that, it says, you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, whatever is contrary to God. But the Spirit, what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other, so that you are not to do whatever you want. But if you're led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. So, Matt, when we talk about this, I say this to guys all the time. We either gratify the flesh or we crucify it. You're either going to put a bullet in it or you're going to go chase it. You're going to let it drive you. So whether it's an addiction to alcohol or pornography or approval or any other area in our lives that it feels like that our hands are gripped tightly to something, we have to daily, constantly partner with God, God's people, God's Spirit to battle our flesh and to choose what's best for our lives. So will you talk about the role, because there's some of the things that you've been talking about, is the role that your flesh or these old patterns or habits that became strongholds that played a role in this downward spiral for you. Talk about that.
Yeah. I think, I love it, like the phrase, like the way I say it is like either I'm choking my ego out or my ego's choking me out.
Yeah.
There's no in between for me. You know what I mean? And there really is like a thought around trying to fix, manage, and control, or try to handle the things, you know what I mean? And it's really important for me in my healing journey to realize, like, if I'm continuing to return to this, it's because it's serving me in some way.
Yeah.
Like there's something that is satisfying.
Even if it's short term.
Yeah, it's satisfying something. You know what I mean? Because the story I use is like when I was like 8 years old, my grandmother, I had a headache, and she's like, well, take this aspirin. And I'm like, well, I've never swallowed a pill before. Yeah. And she's like, well, all you got to do is throw it in your mouth, take a drink of Pepsi, and swallow it. It'll be fine. Well, I throw the aspirin in my mouth, take a drink of Pepsi. When I swallow the Pepsi, the pill stays in my mouth, and it tastes horrible. You know how many times I've done that since then? Never.
Is that right?
I've never done that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it tasted horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not doing that anymore. The consequences from this happened. This was horrible. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah.
So if you run up on something and it's like the consequences for those behaviors are horrible, but then you still find yourself compelled and drawn back and pulled to it, longing for it, man, the work of what's going on behind the curtain is a really big deal. And I love the way Galatians says, and there's some powerful stuff in there that could be a whole other podcast. But it's like the flesh is craving something that only God can provide.
It's money. Good job.
You know what I mean? That's the only thing that's the only thing it can provide for it. Like, and so if I'm looking for gratification from that chick on the porn screen that's making faces at me, like that gratification, that feeling safe, that feeling wanted is only going to be found by the one who created us. Yeah. That sense of relief that I'm okay, the peace, the shalom from the Old Testament that's talked about. Like there's not a substance on this earth that can provide that. Only God can. The truth, the struggle is for us though is like we're so immediate that we want it right. We want it right now, right. And like the point, like the peace comes after. The peace really is because the effort that it took to get to this place. Eugene Peterson said, "Salvation is not a destination to be arrived at. Salvation is a land to be discovered."
That's good.
And so like the working against the flesh, like, you know, I ask God every day, please remove anything from me that is going to stand in the way of my usefulness to you, your calling in my life, and other people. Yeah. And there's some days it's okay, and there's some days it's not. And one of the things I love about Paul when he said, like, when he pleaded for the thorn to be taken away. Again, this is just speculative on my part, you know what I mean? But like, I love it that it doesn't say what his thorn was. Yeah. Because if it had said anything, if he just said approval, you know, I'm trying to get everybody's approval, then it's like, well, if that's not my deal, then I'm out of it. Or if he just said lust or same-sex attraction or any of the things that are out there that we think, oh my gosh, that's really, really bad. Like, I struggle with this, but at least I don't struggle with that. And that's something that's been core for me, is I found out that what separates me from God is not the struggles. What separates me from God is all the trophies that I try to show up and show him. Yeah. Like, we like to show up and go, like, at least I don't struggle with that. Yeah. And that the stuff on the table, the trophies on the table is really what separates us from God. You know, I thought God, when I was broken, a mess in a detox unit at a homeless shelter in downtown Louisville, that's when like all bets were off. It's over. I've completely I'm out now. You know what I mean? And it was like, that was the first moment that the table had actually got cleared enough where had nothing between me and God, where I could actually hear from him. Yeah. You know, I love it that when Paul, like, he doesn't say what his thorn was. Yep. He just had one.
And God's response is what?
Yeah. My grace is sufficient. My power's made perfect. And I love that, because if you read, God is all powerful, right? Yeah. So if it's, what do you mean? Like, his power's lacking? Yeah. Because it's more perfect now? No. And it's, man, the Greek word for that really, best is most visible. Yeah. My power is most visible in your weakness.
I'm just waiting on you, bro.
And that is the magic that happened in my life.
That's good.
When the lid blew off.
Yeah.
And it was like I got nothing. Besides, I showed up at detox with puke on my shirt and pee all in my pants and a complete mess.
Yeah.
And it was like, of all the times for the Almighty to show up in my life, it wasn't when I planted a church. It wasn't for when I was preaching in front of thousands of people. It wasn't when things where I was killing it in my life and I had all these things that I could say, hey, look, God, I did this, I did this, I did this. Yes, I struggle with addiction, but I've never messed with a kid, or like I've never, I don't have this kind of attraction, or so I'm better than the people that do. Right. It was like when I showed up at detox and the table is completely wiped off and I got nothing but vomit and pee on myself, and God's like, all right, boy, let's get to work.
Yeah, that's good. There's a verse that says, just of our flesh, it says, as a dog returns to his vomit, so one man to his folly. And it's like, isn't it crazy? Yeah. And it doesn't matter, locker room, whatever it is. You think, gosh, why am I choosing this? Why did I choose that?
Because it works on some level.
For
some level. And it's like our brains are hardwired for that, Scott. Yeah. Like it's not hard. Our brains don't work.
Need it fast.
What's best. Our brains work for what's familiar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like even the chaos that's attached to it, like our brains will crave that. Like healing and recovery is a lot about learning that my mind can control my brain.
Yeah.
And Romans 12:2 is a lot more than just journaling, so I won't cuss as much and only listening to K-Love and not listening to anything on, double Q.
Right.
Like it's a lot more than that. Like it is transforming my mind. That my brain is going, you're in a bad spot, go to what feels comfortable, check out quickly. And my mind's going, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
God is present.
Yep.
Remember, slow down.
Yep.
Do what's healthy.
Yep.
It's like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna let you loose.
Okay.
So it's been a journey for a long time. A lot of ups and downs. A lot of lies that you've told. Ways that you've tried to hide it. The number of people that, who knows how many people have tried to help you along the way. Blackouts. Ways that you tried to manage your own addiction. Talk about how that made you feel and what lead us all the way up to that day of detox.
Yeah, okay.
So just kind of talk through some of
dude,
that.
Everything, I gotta say it like this, everything changed in my journey of recovery really with my wife. Like I think there's some other stuff in my life, in our family's life as well. My wife was in grad school getting her master's in trauma counseling. And it was one of my well-known sprees. Done okay for a while, locked up, okay, he's good now, and I'd blown back up. But up to that point, it was always like, man, just stop. Like, you got to stop. Like, don't you love us? Don't, you got to quit this. You're going to ruin everything. That was kind of the mindset, which is completely acceptable. So like if you're living with someone or you're working with like a loved one that has addiction, you feeling angry because they won't stop is completely okay. Yeah. You should be pissed. Like they're causing harm to you. Like that's understandable. But everything changed for me when she started going to grad school and she started like this, hey, like I think maybe there's something more going on with you than you just won't quit. And I think you need to look into that. And I wish I could say that when she started doing that in 2015, 2016, that would have been the beginning for me. But it was like that opened the door for me to realize that maybe I wasn't just a piece of crap who couldn't stay sober, that maybe there was something else inside of there that needed to be worked on. And I still wasn't ready to admit I needed that kind of help. I still had it. Like one of the depths of my disease, like
thought you could manage it. Thought you could control
I could figure.
it.
I've got to, Scott.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I've failed, and if I failed, you've got a reason to leave.
Yeah.
Which is why I could talk to a stranger.
That's so clear,
bro. I could talk to a stranger, and they'd be like, "How you doing?" Horrible.
Yeah.
I just ran 3 Oxycontins up my nose, and I'm already shaking for another one. You know what I mean? And not blink an eye. I can sit across the table from one of my best friends that we know, Chad, and he would say, "Brother, do you need help?" Look him dead in the eye and say, "No, man, I got this. I'm good."
Yeah.
Because it was like, because if I'd admitted that to him, then he's got an excuse to leave.
Yeah.
And I can't have that. That I'm terrified of that.
Right.
So I still got to manage it. I've still got to control it. And so like it was the ups and downs of that. And it would come back and I would say, I'm just going to get a little bit. And then like I said, that's when I walked into detox, I just don't have an off button, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if I put one in me, a switch is flipped and it takes handcuffs or outside, interventions to shut it off.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I can't. Like, and I think that's one of the things for people understanding addiction is it really is threefold. And if you don't think about all 3 parts of it, it's limited. So I don't care what the addiction in your life is. It's physical, it's mental, emotional, and it's spiritual. And if you only attack one of those three things, then healing is going to be extremely difficult from my perspective, if not impossible. So there's a lot of folks, man, if you're physically addicted to a substance and they put it in them, I would say that right there, like medically, it's proven they don't have a lot of choice now.
Yeah.
They flip the switch. There's a physical craving that's going to hit, and they're going to need outside help to shut that down. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Hit those 3 areas again, so no one misses it.
Yeah, it's
with addiction. There's 3 areas.
Yeah, there's a physical piece to addiction. You know, I digest alcohol differently than you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a mental, emotional piece of addiction, which I think 100% of substance use, 100% of any addictive behavior, once you start catching negative consequences for it, 100% of addictive behavior is because you're trying to fix internal discomfort.
Yeah.
And it breathes some kind of relief.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, so
makes me feel not pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't feel bad. You know, I didn't want to feel on top of the world. I just wanted to not feel like crap.
Yeah.
So there's a physical piece to it, there's an emotional piece to it, and there's a spiritual piece to it. And if you don't look at all 3 of those things, then what happens is it's not that it's wrong. Your definition is wrong, or your treatment is not, like the protocols or the things you're doing to get better are not helpful, but it's lacking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like treating whatever disease it is, or treating whatever wound it is with all we're going to do is spray it with water and put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That's going to help. Yeah. But you also need to take some antibiotics to fight the infection from the inside, and we're also going to have to put some stuff on the outside of that. So like if it's all I'm going to do is take antibiotics to the inside of it, but I'm not going to clean the wound and change the dressing.
Infection's coming.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, then that's going to help some, but it's not going to help all the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I wish that when I was exposed to this by my girl, that I was able to go, oh, okay, I need help. This is broke.
Yeah.
There's something wrong, but I still had the same thing. I would do okay for a little while, and I would blow up. And I was still pursuing this. I've got to perform to be valuable, because if I don't perform, you got an excuse to leave me. Yeah. So I'm working at Southeast. I moved there in Louisville from Atlanta in 2016.
2016, okay.
And had various jobs, you know, like was doing some work I really loved. Got an opportunity to lead the Connections Ministry at the Blankenbaker campus, and it was more of the cycle just continued to show up. It was like life would build up on me. I was
Stress
in a role.
come.
It was like I was in a role that was like really, really valuable, but it's not my jam.
Not necessarily the right
not for
fit.
me, it ain't, man. Like, because we're having like 4 meetings about we're going to put a table on Sunday morning to put some books on it. And I'm like, frick, I don't care. Put the table out there and put the books on it. It doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? But like, we got to have 4 meetings to talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was like, I'm just going to get a little bit of this and it'll be okay, man. And stuff started to explode. And COVID hit. And I was able to maintain, like, man, and I talked about the grace of God in my life, detoxing at home, sick as a dog, bro. And I know now, because I'm an alcohol and drug counselor, you don't do that. Like, it's not smart.
You tried that?
Oh, I did. I detoxed at home multiple times, pain pills and alcohol multiple times. The last time, it was horrible. I was hallucinating. I had to have a drink every 5 to 6 hours, or I started shaking, and I knew better than that, dog. Yeah. I knew better than to get to where I drank first thing in the morning, but I had to have it to quiet I had to quiet the feeling. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the physical piece of addiction it's like, man, there is that you're chasing. Like, I know a lot of my good friends, there's like the last 3 years they were out in the madness, they weren't using to feel good. Yeah. They were using to not feel sick. Yeah. You know?
That's good.
And so COVID happens. I'm doing pretty well. COVID, I'm treating part of what's going on inside of me with some 12-step meetings, which is still a huge part of my life. But then we get ready to launch a campus in our neighborhood, and it's like a 12-year dream of my wife. You know, it's like she's running a nonprofit that's in our neighborhood. That's a community development agency for refugees, and we're gonna have a church campus right alongside it. We're doing multi-language church. Like, it's like, this is gonna be fire. Like, and it was like. And it was like, I'm getting messages from people, you know, saying, hey, man, you're going to preach live. We're so glad you're doing that. Yep. Like, and if everybody's like, my wife's like, it's finally happening, it's come together. And like, they're meaning to be encouraging to me, but my default setting is still, I've got to perform to be valuable. And if I don't perform, I'm going to fail. If I fail, they got a reason to leave. Yeah. So when they're telling me all this stuff, the only thing going through my mind is, don't screw this up, bro. Don't screw this up. You know what you've done your whole life? Let people down and screw this up. Yeah. Don't screw this up. And so we were 5 weeks after we launched the campus, man. Like, five weeks after we launched the campus, I woke up that day from a horrible night of sleep. My anxiety was through the roof. And I'm like, if I just get a little bit, I just want to take the edge off. Mm-hmm. And I can just get a little bit. you know, and got a little bit, and the next thing I know, really everything I know about that night, I know stuff now, but it's because my people have told me.
Yeah.
I was in a complete blackout.
Yeah.
He's stumbling around the south end of Louisville.
Stayed out all night.
Yeah, wife couldn't find me, driving around, called some buddies of mine, called a real good friend of mine who's campus pastor at Bullitt County, and called other people, like she'll say, Matt's out, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And so they found me, and they took me to Detox, downtown Louisville.
So you were sitting on a...
I was sitting on the corner I was sitting at a park bench on the corner of Central and 3rd.
Yeah, right down by Churchill
Downs, right across the street from it. And
Been
I
out
looked
there
down
all
at
night?
myself. Yeah, I looked down at myself, and I've got, like I said, I've got vomit all over my shirt. I've peed all over myself, and I'm like, how did this happen, man?
Yeah.
I was just going to get a little bit. I was just going to get a little bit.
Yeah.
And found me, took me to this detox unit in downtown Louisville, and I thought my life was over.
How many days were you there? What was that? What was that experience like?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's not my. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up homeless shelters. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to make light of people like that, but I just didn't grow up like that, and it was terrifying. And you know, I was there for 5 days, and really thought I didn't know what I was going to be doing. You know, it was a detox for 5 days, and then
you didn't talk to your wife beforehand.
No.
You went.
No,
your buddy went. I got to take you.
Yeah,
and now
went
you're
straight there, and I was there for 5 days. And you move from one detox unit to another, and I went to the second unit, and you get to make a 5-minute phone call. So I called home, fully expecting like, "Hey, we're done. Don't you ever talk to me again." Yeah. I was just like, "Can I get my phone?" You know, that's all. I was just like, you know, I don't have my wallet. I don't have anything. You know,
wow.
Can I get that? And when I called, like, it was the same, you know, it was the same thing from her. It was like, do you want to come home? I talked to the church, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, okay, but we can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And when I got in the car, man, and then the people that struggle with addiction, you know what this is like, right? Like, you don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
Because you said it all.
Yeah. And they don't believe you.
No,
Yeah.
and they don't need to, because I've gaslighted them so bad. I've lied about everything.
Yeah.
I've minimized. I've deflected. I've blamed it on everything else. Every toxic addictive behavior you can think of. Like, I've done that. Yeah. And I get in the car, and it's just really quiet. And I get the phone, and I turn it on. Man, it was from one of the texts. I mean, there was a lot of texts from a lot of people. One of the first texts was on there was from Kyle, our senior pastor. And it was 5 weeks after we launched that campus. There was a lot of hype behind it. It was a risky move for them because it's not a normal campus.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. It's in an area that's not like how we normally do campuses, which is not good or bad. It's just different than the model. And it was like 5 weeks into it, and it's like, where's the guy at? Oh, he's passed out drunk on a park bench on the corner of Central and 3rd, you know. And one of the first text I got from him said, "I love you, bro. Grace is enough. If you want help, we'll help." And I texted him, and I said, "Kyle, I want to be sober more than anything in the world."
Yeah.
That's all I knew I wanted. I want to be sober more than anything in the world. And they found a treatment center for me that's not only for pastors, but it was primarily pastors down in Woodstock, Georgia, a place called Hope Quest that I'm still a huge fan of. It's really great. It's biblically based. It's clinical based.
Hope Quest, in Woodstock, Georgia.
Woodstock, Georgia. Yeah. There's 12-step work that's there. It's all Christ centered, but it's very clinically heavy. And that was the game changer for me, Scott, was when I got to sit still long enough to deal with the narrative and the stuff that ran in my head, and deal with the stuff behind the curtain of my addiction. Safe place to do that. Like, you know, I think we want to watch TikTok videos and self-diagnose ourselves. I thank God I was locked up for 90 days in that place, because when I started digging through some stuff from my past, dude, there wasn't even vanilla extract in that piece. And I'm glad, because if I'd have been anywhere where I wanted some comfort so bad. So
you couldn't. I see what you're saying. When you said vanilla, I know what you mean now. I was looking for something to taste good.
I want something, because if you drink enough vanilla extract, it'll get you lit. I guess there wasn't even hand sanitizer down there. You know what I mean? Like, and I was that desperate. Like, I would have tried to figure out a way to adjust some hand sanitizer.
Will you talk about what those 90 days look like? Because you talk about there's different kind of parts of it, but was there a physical aspect? Did you work out? Did you sleep good? Was there group stuff? Were there individual stuff? Will you talk about that? Just because I know that there are people going, hey, what is it like? And, they're fearful of me even taking that step. But talk about what it was like.
90 days, man. I remember when they first told me that we found a place that's 90 days. I called Chad, and I was like, man, am I this screwed up? Like, this is like, seriously? Like, this is it? He was like, man, just you Just think of it like
nice.
it was like just think of a chance to give. This is a chance to help you. Why would you not take it?
Yeah.
You know, and so it was like the meals were intentional. So there was healthy food. There was a gym to work out that you could participate in that stuff in. I had a lot of individual intensive counseling work with a psychotherapist that had a really solid theology. So I'm really careful to say,
awesome, man.
like he had a really solid theology and biblical background, but he also, his calling in life was to help people make sense of the stuff that's going on in their heads so they could actually experience the truth of God, you know? And the thing that so there's a piece I'll kick out of that, but like, so I'm intensive counseling individually 3 or 4 times a week. There's marriage counseling going on with the therapist there. I'm in
would
group
Christy
counseling.
Would Christy come?
It was COVID, so nobody's allowed to go nowhere.
Okay.
But we on video. But most of the time they do
Gotcha.
participate. So we were on video because of COVID, you know, and it was a game changer. You know what I mean? And it was horrible. It was hard. I checked in the week of Thanksgiving and left in Valentine's Day. My kid turned 6 and I was locked up in rehab.
Yeah.
You know, Christmas Eve, like I waited in line 5 hours to get a 15-minute phone call with my family on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
My dog died while I was gone. My boys had to bury it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where I got me. You know, that's what I kept thinking. Yeah. But man, what I learned really about there is we love that. You know, we love the verse. You know, when Jesus says, "Love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and mind."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's really hard.
Yeah.
When your heart's broke, your mind is sick, and your soul is covered with shame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I learned there is like that. There's some things you can do. Your mind needs some help.
Yeah.
You know, you can't love God with all your mind if your mind is sick.
Yeah.
You can't love God with all your heart if your heart is broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's some things you can do, and you can't love God with all your soul if you're so embarrassed of who you are that you're hiding everything from it. Man, and there's such a push for us, I think, as followers of Jesus now, to make that available to people. That it's like, man, your mind is sick.
Yeah.
Quit throwing shame on yourself. Like if you had any other issue with any area of your body, you'd
physically,
be like, hey, look, man, my kidneys aren't working right, but I'm telling it what to do. I'm going to grind through this thing, and I'm making them work. It's like, no, you would go to the doctor, and you would take the medicine they told you to take. You would listen to professionals. Our mind is sick, and our mind is making decisions for our bodies. Yeah. You know, we're making decisions with a mind that's off.
It's a bad boss.
It is, man. It's just not healthy right now. I remember I was sitting in rehab and I had this plan because I got plans, dog. Like I can come up with some stuff. Sure. And I got a plan. I'm talking to my therapist about it. And I'm going to do this, this, and this. And he looked at me and was like, hey, this is a risky thing for me. And he was this little dude with a man bun and toe shoes. So it was like the opposite of what I thought I would be chilling with. And he goes, we got a bond, man. Yeah. Like, can I say something to you? And I said, yeah, man. He said, okay, this is kind of risky. Don't tell anyway. He's like, your brain is broke. Yeah. I need you to shut up and borrow mine for a while. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so leaned into the principle of like, man, I just got to ask that dude. Like, I don't know, does this sound like good to you? And he's like, no, it sounds dumb. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's dumb. You know, it sounds really good to me. Sure. But man, when your mind is sick and your heart is broke and your soul's covered under a mountain of shame, man. Yeah. You can throw Bible verses at me 10 times out of 10 and load me down with however much guilt you want to give me that I'm not living up to it. Right. But it ain't going to help nothing. You know what does help? When I go back to that thing that provides that relief just for a minute. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's a whole thing I get kicked. That's my jam right now. I feel like we have a real deficient view of sin. Yeah. You know, we see sin from a legal perspective only, and that's not inaccurate. No, because that's not it. That's not it, man. Right. There's so much more, and it's biblical. Like in Romans 10:9, like, you know, it says if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, you will be saved. Right. It's translated saved right there, which is a Greek word sozo. Mm-hmm. And then you go back to the story in the Gospels when the bleeding woman touches the edge of Jesus' cloak, and he, you know, kind of goes through the process with her, and then looks at her and goes, you know, go in peace, daughter. Your faith has healed you. It's the same Greek word. Yeah. And Jesus is just as interested, maybe I would push a little bit right now, saying maybe more interested in the wounds behind the behaviors than he is the behaviors.
Yeah, he didn't want to just save us so that we're stuck, so that we're cycled, so that we're addicted. He really does. He
and there's a lot of us, man. There's a lot of us that the behaviors in our life show up. Yeah. You know, and they come out of some deep wounds that we had zero say in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
They happened to us. We had no say in any of that. Yeah. And the wounds happen, and then behaviors grow out of it, and then our response from the people that are followers of Jesus is like, well, if you love God enough, it would stop.
That's right. Yeah. So. And, you know, I tell guys in Fight Club all the time, listen, many of you are a victim And I appreciate that and I understand that. And I have a lot of grace for that. But you don't get to stay one.
No,
and you don't get to rationalize and go, hey, well, I'm doing this because of what. No, man. You don't get to blame today on yesterday or 20 years ago. You have to do something.
Yeah. It's just enlightening, right?
that.
Like, it's like I'm not just a piece of crap. There's other stuff going on. Yeah. But it was my choices. Like I say this when people, the religious world or the church world wants to be like, God delivered you from your addiction. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, he did. And it's my choice every day whether I walk in that deliverance.
That's good.
It's my choice. And that's what moves you from a victim to a survivor.
Yep.
Is how you walk in it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that changes, because you can walk, and that is a part of your story.
Yeah.
But how you walk in it is what differentiates whether you're a survivor or you're still a victim.
That's good. Did you do group stuff there too with other people? What was it like for you? Was that scary?
It was.
I mean, because you lead groups, you lead people, and all of a sudden you get to be in a group.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, right?
Yeah. And it's like,
what was that like for you?
Horrible. It was horrible, because it was like, we're going to talk about our feelings, and I'm like, screw you, bro. I'm allergic to those. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't talk about my feelings. The only feeling I know is anger.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
I'm not, and it's like, write these feeling statements. You know what I mean? Checking in, it's like, and they're telling me stuff like, in my therapist in Louisville that I still see my therapist consistently. It's part of my healing journey. Yeah. And she's like, Matt, you got to feel this to heal it.
Yeah.
You can't think your way out of this. And I'm like, bet.
Yeah.
Bet. Watch. I'll show you. Yeah. I'm not feeling this stuff. It feels gross when that stuff starts coming back.
I don't want to feel it.
No, I don't want to feel that.
The reality is the only way
feel it to heal it.
Yeah, you got to get through it. You got to get through the wounds. Yeah. What was there anybody in particular that just really their story spoke to you? Just sitting near some people or just encouraged by them?
I guess a great question. I think the thing that shocked me the most was it wasn't only for pastors, but a lot of us were pastors. And I was one of the only other guys there with substance abuse. Everybody else there struggled with sex addiction.
Gotcha.
And before I went to treatment, I would have been like, what does it mean? Like, you like naked girls? Like, come on. Okay. You know what I mean? You like to masturbate? Like, okay, what dude doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, I knew what it was like to be physically addicted.
Right.
And so you're telling me this is an addiction. It didn't compute for me.
Yeah.
And when I started hanging out and meeting some of my brothers that was their struggle, and they're describing the things, it was my process.
Yeah.
But theirs was getting a girl off Backpage, and mine was cheap vodka.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the same.
Just a different addiction.
It was exactly the same. And so I think that's what I learned the most is like how we're all trying to satisfy or solve something, and how we know this is not going to end well, but we know it works a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the connections like in that were really profound for me, and I still have some of the most what I wish would happen in the church, because I realized because of what my life was like, if my addiction would have popped as sexual addiction, that I'm not sure what the church would have done.
Sure.
I feel like sex addiction in now in America, in the church world, is like substance abuse was 25 years ago.
Sure.
There's like you say, hey, I struggle with sex addiction. People automatically jump to the most extreme levels of what that could mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. And there's shameful things attached to those. Sure. But learning that with them, I have some of the most utmost. I'm still trying to figure this out. I do it right now with food, because sugar has been way harder for me to do okay with than vodka was. Yeah. Oxy didn't get me like the ho-hos do. Okay, but what I have so much respect for people that walk that journey, that's their thing, because if you looked at me as a married, you're a married man, okay, and you struggle with sex addiction. If somebody came to me and said, Matt, hey, I need you about 3-4 times a month, 5 times a month. Yeah. I need you to drink 3 beers and stop.
Yeah.
Nah, dog, that ain't gonna go well. Yeah. And so what I learned there from them was the commitment to this 24-hour a day, do the right thing.
You're in war.
Rigorous honesty.
Yeah.
And it's man, the stuff they had to confess to, being with my wife as long as I had, it was everything I had to write in my confession, stuff that I was in our counseling. It was I knew all that. I was there. You know what I mean? Right. The stuff that those boys owned, extreme ownership, that Jocko crap or whatever, that stuff. I'm man, they got some balls. Yeah. That took some guts, and they extreme ownership. Yeah. It's believing that Jesus had a better way for them. that their struggles did not disqualify them.
That's good.
That they don't deserve a seat in the back.
Yeah.
They deserve a seat up front. Like we're not just going to let you be here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you were chosen to be here.
That's right.
Those boys, that's some stuff right there.
Getting ready to leave. Can you describe that after 90 days? And
yeah, terrified.
Yeah,
terrified.
What were you terrified of?
Because
because you'd done so good. You felt good.
Yeah.
You're like, can I do it out there?
That's it. That was it. Terrified because I'd done. I'd never.
Should I just stay here for?
Yeah, for real. That was the thing. Like I mean, this every day that I wake up is the longest I've been sober since I was 13.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was like, can I do this? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What happens? And there was fear of like, my marriage was still like, it's been a healing journey.
Yeah.
And we're still working on that. Like there is no like, and this is one of the things that she gets to point out that I really try to make a big deal about was, it's like, Matt got sober, let's make some podcasts and some videos, everything's great. And it's like, well, for 25 years, I was being gaslighted to and lied to and misled and all those things. Like healing takes time. You know what I mean?
That's important for everybody to hear.
It's healing takes time. And like what's that dude's name? Carl Lentz. You know what I mean? All his story. I don't know but the details of his story all the way in and out. I've watched some 2020 stuff, which who knows if that's true or not. Yeah. But he said on there, he says the most beautiful marriages are the second marriage to the same lady.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dog, I'm in on that. And that's what's happening in my life right now. It's a battle and it's work.
Yeah.
But it is so beautiful, and it's like this is second marriage to the same lady because it's all brand new. And I was terrified of that. I was terrified. I had 2 high school age sons.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, your old man had to go to rehab when you're in high school.
Yeah, and they're in the middle of that.
Yeah. Your old man had to go to rehab in high school. Like, what am I walking into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of the faithfulness of the goodness of God in my story has been watching those relationships, me being able to own, and this is me, and the freedom that came from that, but the grace and love that came from that. Because remember, I was a guy that had to perform. Because if I didn't perform, you could see I wasn't good enough, and you just said it was good if you may leave. Mm-hmm. And you show back up after 90 days in rehab, and my high school age sons are at the door, and I'm thinking I had worked with my therapist like they have to give them space to be angry. Yeah. Give them space to think you're full of crap and this isn't going to work.
Whether they're going to believe
give
you.
them space, like they let them have it, like because you've earned that. Yeah. And I walk in the front door, and it's like I'm geared up for it, and they're like, "Dude, we're so glad you're home. Mom wouldn't let us get UFC while you were gone. Can we rent the pay-per-view tonight and get some wings?" Yeah. And it was like. Yeah, man.
They just want you to be dad.
Yeah, that's it. And it was the goodness of God.
Whew, man. Will you say something to these men that they think, man, I've destroyed it. Mm-hmm. Like it'll never be repaired. Mm-hmm. Would you just give them a little hope to go, man, hold on before you believe all these lies.
Yeah. Yeah. The way this is the reason for me to do is like, man, if you could beat this, you would have already beat it.
Yeah.
Like, and the example I use kind of proves where I'm from. Yeah. We used to go to the creek to catch crawdads. And when you try to catch a crawdad, like you reach for it and you miss it, the water gets all muddy. Yeah. And like, so your natural reaction is like it's right. You think you see it and you grab here, and you think you see it and you grab here, and you think you see it and you grab there, right? And realize every time you move, all you're doing is muddying the water more. Yeah. It's like you want to catch that crawfish, stop moving, let the stuff clear, and then you can do it. Yeah. And the more that you try to fix this, or the more that you try to manage it,
you couldn't manage your addiction. You're not going to be able to manage these relationships.
No, you can't manage the healing, man. Yeah. It's only from God. Yeah. It's only from God. Yeah. And that's not what separates you. What separates you from God is not your struggles. Yeah. What separates us from God is our trophies. Yeah. And it's like, so when I show up and it's like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if it is going to work. And it's like, I resist the red bow moments of stories, right? Because we stayed together, and I'm grateful for that. And there's things that are happening in my life now simply because my wife was long-suffering, and maybe from an unhealthy place for her. Sure. You know what I mean, at that time. Sure. Don't feel like when you're trying to control the outcome, God can't do what he does. Yeah. when you're like, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
Surrender.
Like, I give up. When I said I want to be sober more than anything in the world, I meant I want to be sober more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
And does that mean I'm going to work at church anymore? I don't know.
Yeah.
God's got a plan.
Yeah.
Which is way cooler than mine.
Yeah.
You know, I want to stay married really bad.
Yeah, you told me the other day when we were on the phone, you said, I'm probably going to have to find some forklift place that I'm going to be driving.
I did, man. I found a job there. It was $18 an hour. It was like, can you drive a forklift? I'm like, heck yeah. I've never drive a forklift in my life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I got to find something to do.
Got it different.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that cool? You mentioned to me over and over again that you could stop, but you couldn't stay stopped. And you've had previous relapses. So talk about, I mean, so this was 5 years ago.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. So
October 5th, 2020 is my sobriety day.
Yeah. And it's so wild. That's so close to a buddy of mine's.
I want to meet
almost
you.
the same day, man.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people that think recovery is something that they do, whether they go to treatment or they go to AA for a certain period of time. And then after that period of time, there's many that go, you know, I can probably touch this again. I can probably taste this again. I can probably just do a little bit again. It's like, hey, you owned a tiger and it about killed you and you've survived it and you've healed up from it and you've gotten some coaching, some treatment. You've been on this process and then you go, maybe I could do this again. What are some of the things that you have done to continue to guard yourself to stay in the battle?
The recovery literature says like the obsession of every person like me, an addict like me, is that we'd be able to do this like a normal person. Yeah, that's the obsession for us, you know. And so it's a hope that maybe I could, you know what I mean? Like, and for me, what I do is real simple, man. My sobriety has a 24-hour shelf life. You know what I mean? So what I did to get sober today is going to be, it's like manna. And I think it's a message of dependence on God, because God had given us in the Old Testament was there. Is the God run out of power, the manna wouldn't last more than one day? No, it's because he wanted us to know at the very basic human need that you show up every day, I got you. You know?
Need me.
Yeah, I got you. And so my sobriety has a 24-hour shelf life. You know what I mean? Like the days don't matter. Like I was like I learned like that's my sobriety date. But whoever got up the earliest has the most sobriety in the room.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So like if you were me and somebody hanging out, like, and it's like they've been like 90 days sober, but they got up at 5:30. It's like, you got me, bro. You know what I mean? You're still sober longer than I have today. So I participate consistently, and I would be like I think the thing too. The best way to understand it is like it's not like cancer. It's like diabetes. I don't go to treatment for a certain time and then get it in remission. And then you got to go, every 3 months? And then you go for 6 months and then 9 months and then a year. And then after a year, after so many years, it's 5 years. It ain't like that. It's like diabetes. That if I do what I'm supposed to do and make choices like I need to make, I can live a really long life, very normal life with diabetes. If I start making the choices that are not good for diabetes, it gets really messy really quick. And for me, my healing journey of recovery has been like managing diabetes. It's not like treating cancer.
So talk about what are the things that you do
that
are part of your week or part of your rhythms. I've got guys that I walk with consistently in recovery, ones that I try to help, and also I've got a support group of guys they're my buddies that are staying sober today, that I'm just a drunk like them, and we're just trying to stay sober today. I participate in 12-step recovery meetings. It's a huge part of my life and my existence and my everything for me now. You said you had a counselor?
Yeah, I see a therapist. I've been seeing the same one since 2019, and I would say counseling is not like, I'm gonna go to counseling. I went twice and it's good. Like there is no magic pill. There is not a pharmacological solution for the internal discomfort that you feel. Like it takes some work. And when I started going to counseling, I was meeting with her 2019, drinking like crazy, eating benzos, and I'm lying. What are you struggling with? I'm just anxious, Jen. I'm just really anxious.
Just living on the surface.
You know what I mean? Just I'm good, just haven't got a lot of sleep, And it's like, I would walk out there thinking, this lady, she's the biggest idiot I've ever met in my life. It's crazy how smart she got when I started telling the truth.
Isn't that funny?
I started telling that lady the truth, and I'm like, she became a genius overnight. It was wild, When I stopped lying to her, I'm like, man, this is incredible. So I still see my therapist, and 12-step recovery meetings. My stuff's wide open. Like the executive leadership at church probably thinks it's dumb now, but I'm like, here's my login to my chart. You can see every medication I'm on. You know what I mean? Like, I have one password for all that stuff. My wife has all of them. Yeah. The different things I got to do, man, because it's like if I do it in the little, I'll do it in the big, And so, like, if I start lying about little things, I'll start lying about big things again.
Yeah, you mentioned to me that you had a lady say something to you, like you showed up at a meeting, and they're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And you said, I was sober yesterday.
Yeah. My cat's like, what do you want to work on this month? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are you here? And I was like, I stayed sober last month. And I came to see you last month. So, like, I'm back in. But I literally... We had to do a lot of work in treatment about like a relapse prevention plan, and it was a lot of there's a lot to it, but I still do this. I still do what's on that plan.
Yeah,
and it's like I don't know if all of it's necessary, but I'm not gonna mess around and find out.
Yeah, that's good.
It's working for me, so I'm just like, I'm still doing it.
Can I pull back? Can I shift into third gear?
I can't, man. No, it's working for me. It's as long as I've been sober since I was 13, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to. And it's like the quality of life that I've been able to discover right now.
Yeah.
Is one I didn't know was possible.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know it was possible.
So you work at Southeast.
Yeah.
And you still work at Southeast.
I still work at Southeast.
God is good.
Amen.
I mean, there's a lot of churches, man, that you know this.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of churches that maybe would have wanted to help.
They say, I love you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hope you get better.
Yeah.
And for you to get in that car and to have Kyle share that with you is so powerful. But talk about now what you're doing and your team, and then just the ways that you collaborate with a number of partners all the stuff that you're involved in. Talk about that, man.
Man, it's really cool. Like I said, I didn't have the capacity to dream for what God was going to do, man. Like I didn't have the capacity to dream it, And so, when I went to treatment and I didn't know if I would have a job. There was no promise of like go to rehab and you keep your job. There was none of that. It was just like for me, like I want to get sober. They'll pay for it. Okay, I'm going. You know what I mean? And so right before I got out of treatment, Southeast was contacted by a company that provides inpatient treatment for folks with substance abuse disorder, and was like, "Hey, would you guys be interested in carrying a worship service into this treatment center?" Yeah. And so they were like, "Well, possibly. We got this guy that just got out of rehab. Maybe we have something. Maybe we got a guy that can go.
He might be good.
I love it when they put us on this panel one time at church, and they were like, "Hey, so tell us how you got into the ministry." And one of them was like working with refugees. One of them was like this, and they were like, and it got to me, and then Kyle looked at me. He was like, "Oh no." He kind of smirked, and I was like, "Well, I went to rehab, So but I got out of rehab. We started getting to do a worship service at this treatment center. That grew out of that was connections and talking to people and realizing like how. All over the place, what people understood about God was, and about faith, and about Scripture, and it's like people would say, "Hey, I'm a Christian," and I'm like, "What does that mean to you?" Yeah. So I went to church with my grandma. I watched this YouTube preacher and karma,
right?
And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
that's not. There's way more to it than that, bro." You know what I mean? And so we worked on a discipleship curriculum specifically for folks in recovery. Then we started that treatment center when the client expanded out to other treatment centers that are in the state of Kentucky, and then other companies in the state of Kentucky, and now we're working all across the state of Kentucky. And
you have a team. You have a staff team.
Yeah, we have a staff team. Yeah. Southeast.
Just at your church.
Yeah, Southeast awesome. Hired is to continue to God. One of the mantras of the church is called "Catch the Wind." So if guys start moving, they want in on it. Yeah. And it was like, hey, we started doing something, and it was like, hey, this could be really cool, but I can't get to all these places. And they're like, okay, well, here's this, and it's like next year, it's like, hey, this would be cool, but like, and they're like, okay, let's go, man. And leadership just continues to believe in it, and sells out on it, and. I've seen God do some really, really cool things, and I don't think it's anything magical about a drunk that stays sober. Just stay sober every day. It's just about we're uniquely available, equipped to sit beside people in really broken places. Yeah. And when the gospel shows up with people in really broken places, man, magic happens. Like stuff happens. Yeah. And we'll be 5 years old. Recovery Ministry will be 5 years old in March of 2026, and we baptized over 5,000 people.
Just from recovery.
Just in recovery. 1,025 last year. We baptized 1,025 people last year. And dude, there's something powerful, Scott. Like you've been in ministry for a minute. Yeah. There's something powerful when grown adults walk into the water for the very first time and surrender their life to Jesus, man. If you ever have struggles like of believing whether this is real or not, or whether this is going to work or not, you watch a 53-year-old lady that's been in treatment 20 times walk down in the water, man, and cry out to Jesus as she's being baptized and come out a new person. Yeah. Man. Yeah. And man. Yeah. It's something.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
I'll mention some of these, and you can tell me maybe where they are or if you want to add anything to them. Mm-hmm. But some of the partners that you have, there's 9 different partners that you guys partner with outside of Southeast. Addiction Recovery Care, Next Door Recovery, Recovery Now, Men's Addiction Recovery Center, Litchfield Addiction Recovery Center, Isaiah House, Yonder Behavioral Health, West Care, Reclaim Recovery. You guys also work in Pike County Detention Center, Floyd County, Johnson County, Louisville Metro Detention Center. Anything that you want to say about any of those?
Yeah, man, I would say find somebody. Yeah, they're all great. I love working with them. You know what I mean? And they give us access to places.
We're in an area centrally where there's a lot of different. We know people.
Yeah, there is.
Just trying to give some provisions for what that might be helpful.
It is. And I would just say, man, like please reach out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if you got somebody that's struggling with addiction, it's like anything else, right? Like if you want to get my finances in order, that's stuff like, bro, I try to watch CNBC or like, what's that, the show that like that shows the stocks on the bottom of, and they got the market things on there. I don't know anything about that crap.
Right.
So like, if you want me to invest some money like that, I'm like, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Apple's, I guess, kind of good. You know, it's the same thing when it comes to treatment. Like, you know, you say, like, my loved one needs to go to treatment. My loved one needs some help. Man, reach out to somebody that like has done it. So if you don't have anybody to connect with, call Southeast Christian Church. Tell them you want to talk to somebody about recovery. And my whole team is full of like most all, not all of us, but a lot of us went to rehab. You know what I mean? And so men's and women's can individually kind of walk you through that, what that looks like, what's the healthiest, because it's not a one size fits all either. You know, I mean, like a lot of what you need depends on what substance you're using, how long you've been doing it, how you've been using it. There's different things that go into it, man. And we would love to help people walk through that.
Yeah, that's so good. Dude, 5,000 people in 5 years. It's so impressive. Here's something. You've kind of said some things already to those who maybe were wrestling with this on the podcast. Hey, if you could have, you would have. Surrender's so critical for you. If you're going to do this, you should decide today to put the shovel down, declare that you're at rock bottom.
We hit bottom when we quit digging.
Quit digging. Don't keep rationalizing. Don't keep lying to yourself. If you could have, you would have. Squash your pride. Say, I can't, but God can. And what's beautiful about surrender is that that's the moment where God begins for breakthrough to take place. And you just got to realize and own the fact that your life's unmanageable, that you need help. But help means not you pulling up your bootstrap. Help means surrender. It means a team. It means a plan. Those are critical, super important.
Yeah. And I would say that too. Like I've needed a lot of things, right? I have a person who I call a sponsor that helps me walk through the 12 steps. I have a pastor who just my pastor. That's all he does. We have a marriage counselor. I have a separate individual counselor. You know, I was telling somebody this other day, and they're like, "Bro, you sound needy," and I am. Like, but not one person can be all those things. So if you're a loved one of somebody with addiction, don't feel like you need to wear all those hats. Because it's not like, you know, and a lot of in addiction, spouses become like parent figures trying to fix and take care of everything. Man, you can only help out of your health. Like the level of your health is how much you can help. And sometimes like the number one thing we need to do, we think there's a tough love or enabling. And there's a middle ground to that. Like there's a middle ground to that. Like where it's not like I never want to talk to you again. And I'm talking more like parent-spouse relationship, like parent-child relationships. Like that. It's not that I'm never going to talk to you again. It's no, but I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to let you see my car. I'm not giving you the credit card. I'm not paying your phone bill. I'm not paying rent. I'm not whatever it is like that. But I'll meet you for supper on Tuesday if you want to come eat. I still love you. I'll still sit with you. I'm not giving you a dime. But I'll sit with you. You know what I mean? Now, if you're in a romantic, like a spouse relationship like that, man, get some help. Sit down with someone. Let them if boundaries were easy, we would do them. You know what I mean? So find somebody to walk alongside you and realize that really like those boundaries that you're putting up, because addiction for all of us addicts is a cost benefit. And until the cost outweighs the benefit, we're not going to stop. Because it's fixing something we don't know how else to fix. Like this is, it's a coping mechanism. It's maladaptive, you know, at this point in our life, but it's worked. We know it works on some level, you know, so get some help so that the boundaries can be put in place to protect yourself, protect your kids, and then allow God to do what only He can do. And it's surrender, man. You got to quit muddying the water if you want to catch the crawdad. That's my redneck way of saying it.
That's good. There's a book I'm reading right now with the guys I do accountability with. It's called Steps by John R. Berg. And he says, we generally sin alone, but we heal together. And he said, an example is, I get drunk or we stay sober.
That's the line we use a lot,
And we just need, listen, whether you struggle with alcohol or whatever, it doesn't matter what your proclivity is or what your struggle is or what your habits that you keep running back to. We all need community. We cannot live on islands, and we can't live in isolation. We can't. We got to stop hiding, stop lying. We need people in our lives. Super, super important. I guess as I'm thinking about this, let me hit this, and I'm going to give you the last word.
Okay.
So, Lyron, just in case, again, you think that this podcast has no relevance for you, because you don't struggle with alcohol or drugs, here's a couple questions, all right? What's a habit in your life that keeps you from God's best? What's a sin that the enemy is trying to blanket you in shame with? What's your next step of obedience in striving to put down sin in your life, to walk with the Holy Spirit, to pursue the joy and peace, the freedom that comes from knowing God? What are the battles that you're in right now? So I'll give you the last word, man. I got a couple resources, and then I'll wrap us up.
Yeah. I love the book, the Steps book. I would just, it's really just an appeal. Like I said before, man, if you could beat this, like, you would have beat it.
Yeah.
And if you love someone that's struggling with addiction, reach out. Yeah. Shame grows in the dark, and shame, all shame does is separate us from God. Yeah. And when you flip the light on, I think we think the most terrifying thing is getting caught, or coming front and saying, "Hey, I need help." Yeah. And it's like, that's the moment that all the resources that become available, that God can show up with you. And I love it that right now, if you love someone who's struggling with addiction and you feel really alone, find comfort that Jesus sat in the garden and felt alone.
Yeah.
If you're in addiction right now, you're struggling with addiction and you feel abandoned, find comfort in knowing that Jesus prayed prayers because he felt abandoned.
Yeah.
And, Psalm 139 says, if I make my bed in the depths of hell, you will be with me.
Yeah. No matter where I go.
No matter where I go, you will be with me. And he's there. And I'm not saying he's going to make it easy. He's not saying he's going to wave a magic wand. And I think what I want in addiction is my consequences to go away. But I thank God for them consequences.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have them consequences, I wouldn't be sober right now.
Yeah.
I needed to sit there at that detox unit sick as a dog.
Yeah.
I needed to sit there and wait in line to call my kids. I needed to sit down there and realize my son turned 6 and they had birthday party hats and all that stuff on the table, and I wasn't there for
Without you.
And I needed that, because that's where I got me.
Yeah.
When I run the show, that's where I got me.
Yeah. That's why you're in this battle every day.
Yep.
A couple resources. Matt mentioned a bunch. We'll put them in the show notes. AAs are everywhere. We have AAs that meet at 3 of our campuses, Nicholasville, Lexington, and Georgetown. You can reach out. We'll help you get connected, those if you're interested. There's also a big thing called Christian. It's a Christian program. It's called Celebrate Recovery. And if you Google Celebrate Recovery, there's a lot of them that meet all over the place. You can go online and find one of those. But it's basically it's straight Christian. This is what this is. A lot of churches put them on. We have a long list of guys that are at our church that have battled alcohol, and they're sober. They're fighting. They're in this battle too. And if you need help, we'd be happy to connect you with them. They could share their story and help you in any way that they can. And then I mentioned that book, John Ortberg's Steps. It's called A Guide to Transforming Your Life When Willpower Isn't Enough. And it's a great book regardless of what you walk through. I've never struggled with alcohol addiction. I definitely have my own struggles, but it's a great book that takes the 12 steps, which came from Scripture, and puts them back in our lives. And it's a discipleship vehicle for us too. And so if you're interested in another podcast on addiction, I had one of our men at our church called Mike. His name's Mike Mueller. And it was a locker room episode called Southland Men, Mike Mueller, The View from Rock Bottom. It was March 28th, 2025. So you can check that out. Dude, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thanks so much for giving me a chance to.
Love what God's doing in your life. I love, so thankful for your wife, your kids, and how gracious they've been. I'm sure it's not been easy, but it's cool to see you in the spot that you're in. Thankful for the team at Southeast, the leadership, Kyle, that were willing to meet you in the middle of your brokenness and go, wait, we're not done. And your biggest fear was that they would walk, and they didn't. But God is so good that He'd place you in a position that you're in.
Amen.
And man, God's just using it in some powerful way. So I'm going to pray for you before we wrap up. Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Father, thank you for Matt. Thank you for his story. And it's a lot of stories like his that are listening, a lot of families that have broken hearts that are just trying to figure this out. Lord, would you just work in a powerful way as people hear and watch. I pray for Matt that you would just continue to protect him. I thank you for the pathway that you've given him toward life and freedom and abundance. I pray, Lord, that he would continue to walk in it, never neglect it. Grateful for the way that you've restored and redeemed. Would you do that for any and every person that hears this podcast? Use it for your glory. Thanks so much for this friendship that I have with Matt. Pray your blessing over him. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Dude, thanks again for coming on, man.
Yeah, glad.
Hey, if this podcast has encouraged you, I'd love to hear from you. If you're wrestling with Christianity, interested in getting baptized, need help taking or figuring out your next step, you want to get in touch with Matt, let me know. Shoot us an email at lockerroom@southland.church. As always, if this podcast has encouraged you, share it with a friend. You never know how an episode like this might help those in your life that you care about. And there's a lot of people in our lives that battle addiction. So pray about who and then just share it. Thanks for listening. Let's get after it. We'll catch you next time on Locker Room.